Well, the good news, I guess, is that the ankle isn't broken. It must have just been a particularly bad sprain. Yesterday it was so bad I really couldn't walk on it. Thankfully I have got the hiking boots with me, and I'm making good use of those and keeping the ankle well strapped up. They give it quite a lot of support. One of the many reasons why having a good pair of boots comes in handy, not just for walking, but also for ankle support if you manage to do something nasty to your ankle. And I certainly did that yesterday. One of the aims of this trip is to work out what's going to work for us when we're just using the 4x4 on its own and we don't have the security blanket of the camper trailer. What we're thinking is the instant pop-up tent will do for quick overnight trips, 2-3 nights, and we have a full awning and annex for the side of the 4x4. Very quick to put up, very little effort at all, and we think that'll do as a day use area when we're not driving. If we've stopped somewhere and we want to start cooking, we want to get away from the flies, mosquitoes, whatever, we'll have a closed in area there, and that can be a second sleeping area as well if we want to use it for that. Now, considering how easy these annexes are to put up and how quick they are, I'm actually a bit surprised I don't see more people using them. Yeah, people use the top of the awning there, but they don't seem to get the annex part. And it gives you a decent sized room away from the flies, and if it rains, you know, you can put gear in there, you can sit in there. We think it's pretty good, and we're going to be making a lot more use of it with the 4x4, I think. And that, along with the little pop-up tent and the pop-up shower tent, gives us the ability to go out and go camping without taking too much gear and without having too much time to set up camp. Now, this is our other configuration if we don't want to use the instant tent, is to pop the airbed or the self-inflating mattresses into the 4x4 awning annex. But as you can see, that little tent is quite a bit bigger than you think. Now, the setup we're looking at here is what we're proposing to use for quick 4x4 only trips. So we'll have no other gear with us, just what we can carry in the 4x4. The luxury of the camper trailer and the comfy bed will be left at home. But so far on this trip I found the Intex airbed's pretty good. As yet, no leaks. Let's hope that doesn't jinx it. And as you can see, the white line going into the back of the car there, from there to the tent, we just put the inverter on at night, and if there was any slight leakage, which there hasn't been yet, you just turn the pump on and it instantly pumps it back up again. So could be quite a workable solution. And if we take the self-inflating air mattresses just as a bit of insurance, that should be a pretty good way to go short-term touring with the 4x4. Now, we've already had one problem with these drawers. Thank you, parrot. Go away. We've already had one problem with these drawers that we got from Supercheap. The little catches here on the side that hold the fridge slide of it on go through to a little nut. Now, what's happened is the nut's fallen off. You would think they would use no-lock nuts on these. Apparently not, because that one's fallen off and has fallen underneath the bottom drawer, so I have to wait until we get home to get a suitable nut to put back on that. That's something to watch out for, is the tension on these. They should either have a spring washer or they should have a no-lock nut on them, and that one has come off, and it means that this section here could start sliding around if that pops out, and it could well do that on rough roads. At the moment we're just hoping it stays where it is and doesn't fall out completely. Apart from that, the drawers have been fairly good. They're heavy, I guess, is one of the problems with any kind of drawer system in the back of a vehicle, but it does keep everything organised pretty well. Just a little addition to the back of the drawer here is a little rubbish bag, very handy for chucking in bits and pieces when you're making sandwiches or working here. And because we've got two drawers, we now have two of these slide back tables. That actually has turned out to be pretty useful for charging things up, so we can put our chargers out here. We've got the red arc inverter in there, and we've got charging ports all over the back here. Well, the electrical system in the camper trailer has decided to pack up on us, and unfortunately the only means of getting water out of the tanks is by the old flow jet electric pump. So I have to do a bit of a modification and tap into the pipes and put a manual pump on there. Now thankfully, because I know we have problems, and we have lots of problems, I think more than our fair share sometimes, I carry things for when the problems strike. So we've got a little manual pump here, and what I'm going to do is take a bit of line and plumb that into the tank. Under here we've got an on-off valve for the water tank, which is very handy. So I'm going to take this line off here and put the manual pump onto the end of that, and then just get some temporary zip ties and whack the whole thing up together so we can get some water, because without that we're going to be in a few problems. We do have 20 litres spare on the side, and I was able to get 20 litres out from the filler, but that is now, at the level of the tank, is now below the level of the filler here, so I can't get any more water out of those. But yeah, this trip has been a pain in the ass really from start to finish so far. We've had the polyblock give up on us just before we left. The drone has stopped working. It just goes on, the list of things that have gone wrong goes on and on and on. So it's just the latest, and I suspect the problem lies in this bunch of wires here. But I'm not a Sparky, I'm not an auto Sparky, and there's no way I'm going to touch that and try to get into it and find out what's where. This is where the kitchen swings in and out, so this bunch of wires here gets stressed all the time, backwards and forwards every time you open the back kitchen. So I'm suspecting that the problem is in there somewhere, but I'm going to have to get a proper auto electrician to sort it out and hopefully rebuild it so that it's not going to happen again. And this is the result, a temporary solution to the water crisis. Always nice to have a few spares, things that you think might give up. So at least that means we can keep going without any real headaches. I just have to find somewhere to tie that up when we close up the camper trailer, but yeah, not too many problems now. The solar system we've got has been performing pretty well, even though we've been having some cloudy days. In total now we've got 530 watts of solar power feeding into 3 120 amp hour batteries, and that's been working really well. We've got 2 AGMs in the 4-wheel drive and another one in the camper trailer. The camper trailer is connected to a 200 watt panel, and the 2 AGMs in the 4x4 are connected to these two you're looking at now, our 2 solar blankets. The one on the right a 200 watt and the one on the left 130 watt. And the system's been coping with the cloudy weather very well indeed, so very happy about that at the moment. We've got a new item now to assist with jacking the vehicle. We picked this up very recently, and what they are is extenders for your jack. You can buy them separately, or you can buy them as part of a kit, and that's what we did. It was $147 for the entire kit, and it's produced by an Australian company called RoadSafe. Very handy. I've already made use of these. Nicely produced, good finish on them, very heavy, but they need to be heavy if you're jacking vehicles for safety. So we keep that now in with our jack. Comes in its own case, and it's a very handy thing to have because quite often these bottle jacks are not really long enough to get 4-wheel drives up in quite a few different situations. So being able to add just an extender on top of the jack is a very useful addition to the jacking system of any 4x4. For lighting, we have these little strip lights which we remove when we want to go driving somewhere. Very easy, they just roll out and you hook them up, one end onto a foot of the roof rack and the other end just wrapped around with an ocky strap. Runs down to the battery, and they have touch switches which are a bit sensitive but they work okay. We've got one on each side and one is semi-permanently mounted in the back of the vehicle, so that should give us plenty of lighting. We've seen a lot of 4-wheel drives now with these silver screens on the back windows, and although there's some commercially available ones that are not at all cheap, we were lucky with the Prado because we have little flip openers here and the window can be slightly opened. What we were able to do was get a piece of windscreen reflector, just the ordinary windscreen covers that you can get from car shops. In fact, this one was $1 in a second-hand shop, and we cut it down to size, slid it into the window, and it works perfectly without having to have any kind of suction cups, because the window itself is actually holding it in place quite firmly. They're great for keeping heat out of the back, and they're also pretty good for keeping prying eyes from really having a good look at what's in there. What we do with the back window is to put up just an ordinary flip out cover. That is good enough, we find, just to keep some of the heat out, and also, you know, stops people from being able to see in too easily and see all the goodies that are sitting in the back of the car. Now we're having our usual bad luck with weather. Rained last night and now we get huge gusts of wind coming through. Picked up the tent and shifted it, picked up the solar panels and shifted them, doing its best to push the camper trailer down. Very strong wind. We've got a bit of sunlight at the moment, but we're getting these bands of cloud that insist on coming through, so looks like we are really going to cop it. And it seems like we cannot get away for any trip in this thing without the weather going sour on us. The wind is doing all it can at the moment to throw the solar panels into the air. So just put a couple of rocks on those at the moment and hope they stay in place for a while. I've already had them go flying once. You know, I wouldn't think it'd pick them up off the ground, but yep. picked them up and threw them quite a few yards. And as for the tent, we've had to, not going to be able to talk because the wind's too strong. Not a lot of videos actually have a look at the toilet facilities that people use. Now we're way too old now for wandering off into the bush and digging a hole, so I want a little bit more comfort, and for years we've been using these porta potties. So it's a slightly more modern version than the old one, a better pump on it and a full indicator. The little green indicator that you can see there turns red when it's nearing its top, so I'll let you know when it's time to go and do an empty, which is always a fun job, of course. The rest of the shower setup is this pop-up shower tent, which we've shown you on another video. I'll put a link to that below. And what we're using for a shower currently is just this little shower pump. It's powered by some D-cells, rechargeable D-cells that we've got on a power pack here. Just a matter of clicking the switch, it turns itself on. And the handpiece, just has a little bit of a flow restrictor on there, so you can have more or less water coming through the handpiece when you're showering. Very simple and very effective. We run the pump, which is this section here, into a bucket of water, and to get that warm on a cold day we just chuck in a kettle of boiling water and have the bucket itself about half full of cold water, and you get a beautiful warm shower out of that. The shower tent's got nice facilities for putting your glasses and your soap and your shampoo, and some bars around the edge which are great for hanging up your towels and putting your clothes. So all in all, it's a fairly simple setup, but it's also very effective. And on the floor we sometimes use 4 of these foam blocks, but this time we're just using 1. Depends on how sandy the ground is and how clean you need to keep your feet. Here we're sitting on greenery, so we don't need more than just 1 block. Little added bonus that we came up with, and we probably showed you this in an earlier video. Toilet roll sits on the bar, and all you got to do for that is put a Ziploc bag on top of it, push the bar through the Ziploc bag, and you have a waterproof holder for your toilet roll. There are a few different models of pop-up tent. We've tried a number of different ones, but this particular one is a very good one. Part of the trick with these is having the pop-ups that have strong enough bars. They have to be strong enough to support it in fairly high wind, but they also have to be just thin enough to make it easy to fold down. We have come across one of these fold-up tents that is impossible to fold up. It just, once you got it unfolded, it was just hopeless to try and get the thing back down into its bag again. But this particular one is particularly good. I'll put the name up below because I've forgotten what it is for the moment. It has some nice ventilation there. You can open up a window if it gets too warm, but especially on these cool evenings we find that keeping it closed and in the sun gives you a beautiful warm place to have a shower.